There is a place the maps refuse to remember. Somewhere between the cracked bones of forgotten empires and the ivy-strangled manners of a dying countryside, there lies a village whose name has been scratched from the records of every librarian, every census, every schoolbook and storybook alike. It has no train station, no post, no road that leads to it in daylight, and yet children still disappear. Not all at once, of course. One here, one there. A missing boy in 1893. A girl vanished in 1907. Her shoes left perfectly aligned on the edge of the woods. The rumors were always the same, whispers of a book, always described in different covers, different titles, different hands. Within weeks she had transformed it. The windows glowed with candlelight. Ivy was cut back. The iron gate, twisted and blackened from decades of neglect, was polished until it shone like a raven's wing. Her origins were cloaked in war smoke and church silence. But some claim she had once been a governess in a noble French household, dismissed after the mysterious deaths of the Comte's 3 youngest daughters. It breathed, as if the books themselves sighed when opened, as if the walls had a pulse. Children returned home with a hunger for story, for language, for magic. She was last seen sitting cross-legged by a stained glass window in the Eastern reading room, cradling a slim blue volume titled The Forest That Devours the Day. They quoted ancient rhymes with unnatural fluency. They dreamt in verses and recited whole pages by heart. Some were warm to the touch. Some hissed when disturbed. Several titles seemed to change when viewed from different angles. But of Lucienne, there was no trace. No footprints, no discarded shoes, not even an impression in the cushion where she'd last been seen. But then came the autumn of 1863, and with it the first disappearance. No child was allowed to borrow a book. They were to be read only within the library, under Elodie's watchful gaze. Larger, darker, built with timber black as pitch. A sanctuary of deeper knowledge, she called it. Books are living creatures, she said, but etched into the walls with a blade, names, dates, titles. Deeply, that children were the last pure vessels, that their imaginations were the final threads connecting this world to something older, richer, stranger. And she knew the truth that others could not. Books were not only to be read, they were to be fed. Every child, every book, every page they vanished into. And in that moment, that breathless, aching moment, the child became a part of the tale forever. There were dozens by then. And each time a parent came weeping, she merely bowed her head in sympathy, her hands folded like parchment wings. They whispered names, songs, promises of adventures beyond fields, beyond forests, beyond death. And those who had once feared began to rationalize. Lucienne must have run away. Perhaps she was never even in the library. The mind forgets what it cannot endure. Take them out of their home, and they wither, and they remember. Others swore she had been a child herself in a convent fire that consumed every soul except hers. Because even the parents, especially the parents, feared what the loss of story would mean. And because in the pit of their stomachs, some part of them believed the children were still alive, somewhere between the pages. Wherever she came from, she arrived in the village of Dovillers in 1861, carrying with her a wooden cart stacked high with tattered children's books. But the pages? Always the same, always calling. The police searched the entire manor. They found nothing but shelves. Our story begins with a woman named Madame Elodie Vernet. If you ask the elders of forgotten European towns, the name Vernet will stir a faint shiver, like the brushing of a dry fingertip across a violin string. She took up residence in the manor at the edge of town, a rotting husk of gray stone swallowed by briars and silence. Then the library opened. At first the villagers were wary. "A library for children," she said. "Not just any books, but books with soul. Illustrated volumes no longer printed, folk tales from forgotten provinces, legends older than ink." Her voice was like velvet soaked in red wine, and when she spoke, even the most skeptical father found himself leaning in just a little closer. Soon, the children came. First in 2s and 3s, then in packs, barefoot and wide-eyed, hands smeared with ink and jam. The library was like nothing they'd seen. It breathed, That was the word several of them used. For a time, the village rejoiced. Her name was Lucienne Barrot, 7 years old. Strawberry blonde hair in braids, fond of buttered bread and riddles. When her parents came for her, Madame Vernet smiled softly and said the girl had gone home hours ago, a lie delivered like a lullaby. Floor to ceiling, wall to wall, rooms upon rooms, every surface lined with books. The village erupted in suspicion. The library closed for 2 weeks. Madame Vernet vanished from the public eye. The children returned. They always returned. Because the books whispered, in their dreams, in their moments of loneliness, in the hush between thunderstorms. But Elodie remembered. And in her study high in the western turret of the manor, she kept a record not on paper. She was not cruel. She believed in what she was doing. She believed the right child with the right mind could nourish a story until it burst into being. She didn't steal them. She offered them eternity. The village, for all its grief, never burned the manor, never exiled her somewhere. Dording.